I'll just keep fixing my hair.
Okay. All right, welcome everybody. So we are live and I'm so excited to have everybody. I think I can officially say good afternoon, right? Because I'm on the West Coast. In my last presentation, I wasn't sure where it was morning, where it was afternoon. So I can't officially say it's afternoon for everybody at this point. So I'm so excited because right now we're going to have a presentation with Laura Valerio about promoting social skills for AAC users. So I hope everybody's super excited, just like I am. I'm always excited to hear about AAC stuff. So anyway, Laura, go ahead.
All right. Hi, everyone. Yes, thank you so much for the lovely introduction. And today we're going to talk about promoting social skills for an AAC user. A little housekeeping. I am a speech language pathologist, and I do work at a school called PT Chambers School in New Jersey. It's a school for children who are multiply disabled and have complex communication needs. I'm also on their assistive technology team where we do consults and trainings and evaluations for schools in the local areas that request us. I do treat individuals privately at their homes, and I can now conduct some telepractice sessions, which is something that I didn't think that I would ever do. But through the experience, I really actually enjoy. And hopefully, there are things in this presentation that you can take and use in some of your sessions if you're doing that as well. So I don't have any relevant financial relationships to disclose, but I am a member of the American Speech and Hearing Association. So there we go.
All right, Laura, and just one quick housekeeping. If you guys do have questions, please post on Slack on track 1, and then we can try to answer some of those questions at the end of the presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys have questions, I'll be happy to answer them at the end. So moving on, social communication. If you know me, I love to talk, and I love to get my students to talk too. So as most of you know, social communication is the use of language in social contexts, and we also call it pragmatics. So a lot of times I'm focusing on all the different communicative functions for my students to use. I don't want them just requesting. I want them directing the activities. I want them labeling some things. I want them responding, asking questions. And we focus so much on the use of language and the different types of communicative functions. But this presentation is actually going to look more at following the rules of language so we can help our AAC users communicate and have a conversation. So when focusing on social communication, I do like to look at some of the pragmatic targets that we can hit. The first one is body posture and positioning. If we have a kid that is buried in their device, it's really hard for the listener to know that they're trying to have a conversation. So we really want to look at that and teach them skills that could help promote it. Joint attention. Can't really work on communication and social skills if we're not paying attention. So what can we do to really get our kids engaged and in a place where they're ready to learn and be good listeners so they can have successful conversations? The next thing we're going to talk about is gaining attention. Once I have that great attention from them, well, I want them to know how they can gain my attention. So we're going to talk about that. Introduce and maintaining a topic. It's really important too. They gained my attention and they start talking about whatever they want. But how do we know and how do we teach them, to introduce a topic and then also maintain on topic? We're going to focus on how we're going to promote turn-taking skills that are hopefully fun and motivating for your students. and asking and responding to questions. What can we do to really help them know how to ask a question or know how to respond to someone who's talking to them? So here we go. We're going to dive right in. Body posture and positioning. I absolutely love this image because it's really fun to look at and act it out. And I think it's a nice representation of what posture can look like. So, we have the bad posture guy and we act out, oh no, we have bad posture. Sometimes I catch myself walking into a therapy session and realizing, oh, wait, I'm sitting pretty poorly. I have very bad posture right now. But wait, look at the guy on the right. He has such nice posture, good posture. He looks so cool. Oh, and he looks ready to communicate. So I like to use these images to teach actually also the concept of posture because, some of my students, that's a vocabulary term that they don't hear very often. And these pictures really show what posture can look like. Another thing that I can do is I cut out the little guys, put them on some popsicle sticks. And as we're working in therapy, I'm going to take note. I'm going to hold up, my good posture guy. Wow, look, you are sitting so nicely. It looks like you're ready to have a conversation. You have such nice posture. Or maybe, we're hunched over at our AAC device and, look, I think we kind of look like the bad posture guy. Maybe we can sit up a little bit. I especially like to work on this skill with my students who are a little bit more physically disabled. Sometimes like what Linda Burkhart and Gail Porter really promote in some of their lectures is that children with physical impairments can sometimes have a lack of body awareness and as to where they are in space. So it's really important to try to give them verbal feedback as to how they're looking and what it might feel like to be in a very poor position versus a better position. They tend to, not have that awareness. So also we can show a mirror, look at yourself. Oh, how do you look? And we can kind of talk about it and give them that feedback. I do like to say body posture and positioning is not just up to the student to work on. We need to do things as teams and work together on how are we going to get our kids in an optimal position. And also, where is this device going to be located? Because if it's flat on a table surface, well, instantly your whole body's going to go down. It doesn't look like you're really ready for a conversation when you're communicating like that. So work with your PTs, work with your OTs, get the families involved, and let's look at different mounting options. Or for ambulatory students, we look at straps for when the kid is walking down the hallway. That might be a nice option for transporting the device. Also now they have cases where they have little straps for your hand. You could stick your hand right in there and, teach the kid, lift your hand up, and that's how we're going to talk and communicate. I am guilty if my table is too low for some of my students, then I'm like, oh, we need to get out the stands. So I do like looking at stands for children too. The children who, again, are, non-ambulatory, I look at all different positions, not just their wheelchair. Again, shout out to my PTs who help me with this a lot. I have kids who are in tumble forms, side liers, standers, walkers, gait trainers. They're moving around and we're getting them in different positionings. So where are we putting their AAC devices and how are they able to communicate in a nice posture in all of those positions? So I did in your handout actually give you some examples of what we use for mounting options that I feel are a little bit more sturdy and work well with our students. But of course, there's many options out there that you guys can research and use too. So part of also positioning is, how are we going to stand apart from each other when we are having a conversation? And keeping personal space. That is a term we use a lot in my sessions. So I don't know about you guys, but I have been seeing the 6 feet sign quite often in my community. So I'm trying to use that as an advantage. Again, in your handout, there's a cute little story about COVID. And part of that story is keeping 6 feet apart. But I think it's a great way to talk about where are we positioning ourselves when you have a conversation. In the resource, you can move these little characters, closer or further apart, and we talk about it. Oh, the boy, oh, he's right near the girl. We're going to move him away. Uh-oh, wait, he's too far away. We need to bring him closer. Okay, they look good. Now we're ready for a conversation. So that is one resource you guys can use to work on personal space and, how far apart you should be while you have a conversation. That is actually by Kay Ratliff. That's where I found the resource on Teachers Pay Teachers. But if you finally get to see your students again, which I hope to do, break out a large therapy ball and have the 2 kids standing one on one end, one on the other. Now it's a game. Okay, we're going to keep the ball in place while we have a conversation. I have a lot of students that actually talk too far away from each other. So the ball will go rolling and you guys are too far away. You're going to have to yell at each other to have a conversation. Again, you can use all different types of things. I've used hula hoops too, where the kids hold on to the hula hoops. Oh, this is a nice distance to have a conversation. And it's the summertime, so break out the limbo stick. I found this one, it's actually inflatable. So I guess it also is very easy to transport and lightweight. But it's, a nice distance to teach kids that's really where we should be when we're having a conversation. The next part of our presentation is joint attention. So Carrie Clark has a really great podcast and called the SLP Solution. And she kind of talked a little bit about this, and I thought she did a really great job. Depending on where your students are at, their attention might be different. And especially when I get new kids on my caseload, we really need to establish a rapport. So, you might have to start at the beginning where they walk into the room, they kind of look at your shelves, you allow them to take something, they take blocks. Great, guess what I'm going to do? I'm taking blocks too. They're kind of shuffling the blocks around, maybe building. I'm going to copy them and I'm going to start building blocks. More likely than not, you start noticing the kid looking at you like, okay, this lady is doing the same thing that I'm doing. Okay. But then I want to keep that motivation going and I really want to keep them engaged. So make it fun. A lot of these presentations today really focus on that, even the ones yesterday as well. If you're not being fun, who's going to want to attend to you? No one. So if that kid walks in, loves Peppa Pig, guess what? I love Peppa Pig too. Immediately, those students usually feel a better sense of rapport with you because, oh, wait, they like the same things I like. Wow, we have something in common. Great. So I break out, I'm still copying and I'm still kind of adding to it. I'm playing Peppa Pig. We're having a great time. Awesome. I'm also going to reinforce their interaction with me. So, oh, I love how you're looking at me. Thank you. That's so great. When I say reinforce in this presentation, I don't mean we're going to whip out something else and we're going to, that's really highly motivating with the student. I'm just, you're verbally praising them. It's a very natural interaction. And, we're already doing something motivating. So hopefully it's fun for them and we can reinforce them, with verbal praise doing that. As you know, you're keeping them motivated or reinforcing that, you're going to want to look at their level of engagement and you're going to always try to increase it. So, you might start adding things like, ooh, look at this, or look at me. I'm making Peppa Pig jump. Oh, good job. You're looking at me. Do you like how she's jumping? And then as you see their engagement go up, then we're going to add a little variety. So, oh, I'm going to take out my bus. And now, great. Peppa Pig is going to go to school. I see that you're looking at me. Great job. I'm going to put Peppa in the bus and she's going to go to school. So hopefully at this point, you have a nice interaction with your student or students, and you're developing some joint attention. And once you have their joint attention, now we want to work on how can they gain your attention, because we don't want our kids just always waiting for you to initiate. We want our kids initiating and knowing when they can have a conversation with someone whenever they want. So this is a cute little video I found. Again, something pretty good for telepractice. It does go into the steps of, nice positioning, if someone's waiting. This is not a video you just sit there, play, and expect your students to watch. We pause it, we talk about it, we look at it, and kind of go through the steps one by one. I also do like this video because it's pretty CVI friendly for individuals who are working with children who have, this visual impairment. So I'm going to let you take a look and hopefully it will play. Another thing I like about this video is actually the student who's not paying attention is playing a video game, but I like to say that it's an augmentative device, so my students have something to relate to. So we break out, some feedback and we say, oh, see, they're not listening to you if you don't try to gain their attention. So let's see what the boy does. Oh, he says, hey, what a great way to get your friend's attention. So, you can use this resource. It's about 2.5 minutes long, so it shouldn't take up too much time too. But other things that I use for gaining attention is, if you know me, I love me a good language board. So this is something that I've created for one of my students who uses Pro Lo Quo. When I see someone, I can gain their attention by going to my chat page and saying, excuse me, or hello. Like Gail Van Tatenhove really tries to promote, if I'm going to create a language board that's focusing on a certain target, I really want to show them the pathways. So if you kind of look to the left where you see chat, I'm teaching them. You go to chat and, oh, there are these words. Another thing, when focusing on a specific target, I did hide a bunch of the icons, took a quick screenshot of it, and then pasted it into a PowerPoint. And then I quickly unhide all the different icons that I hid, because again, we want to show them that they can say multiple things. You're not just going to have greetings on your chat page. So, this is the second piece to this language board that I usually just glue and stick on the back of it. But I can also go to chat and then expressions and say, hi, hey, hello. Because with gaining attention, we want to show our students that there's multiple ways to gain attention and you can say different things. When working with this one student that I have, she is, getting to that preteen stage and just going, hello, didn't cut it. But then when she knew to go to her expressions page and she could say, hey, she thought that was a lot more fun and she was more willing to, greet individuals. So, we really want to teach different forms of how we can gain attention. Again, this is another language board for a word power user that I have. When I see someone, I can gain their attention and get them to look at me by saying, excuse me, hello, or hey there. If they're already looking at me, I can greet them or ask a question. Again, I show them the pathways. We go into social, and then we have all these words. So this student was a little more advanced. I did take a screenshot of half the page so they could see all the different language, and I didn't take the time to hide anything, but I circled the things using images in PowerPoint. Symbols, I think it is. And, I just kind of highlighted all the different things that we can say in order to gain someone's attention. So moving on to introducing a topic. I hope my speech roomies out there, I'll give her a shout out to Arlene. And if this photo does not try to elicit a conversation, I don't know what will. So it's important to teach our students how to introduce a topic. Pod is a language system that really does teach students pretty naturally how to introduce that topic. I'm telling you something, it's about now, and then you move on to the categories page. Other systems, don't really have that way of navigating. So you might want to look at your system and see, does my student have a way to introduce a topic? In Proloquo, they have, I want to talk to you. Sometimes I add that word about to make it simple and quick. And moving on, sometimes they do program phrase-based icons, especially for my students who are using alternative access, because it takes a long time to get to some of their words. And if we want them gaining people's attention quickly or introducing a topic quickly, they need a way to do that. So, some programming might be involved. Oh, let me go back. Hold on. But for the students that are, creating novel phrases and sentences, this might be a language board that you create, or I actually call it a sentence starter. So, we teach them, I want to talk. I put the pathway in about, the pathway animals, pathway food, pathway weather. Something that Linda Burkhart and Gail Porter really also promote is that if you're going to create static boards, give them the option of something different. I may think that these are fabulous topics to talk about, but they may think, no, this is not interesting to me. I have something different that I want to talk about. So we also do want to show them that they could introduce a different topic than you were thinking. So maintaining a topic, one of my favorite things to talk about. A lot of my students get really excited with their robust language systems, and they go in and they are talking. They're exploring language on their device. If you guys take anything out of this presentation, please take out that if you see a child exploring language, and they're in class and they're kind of going through the system, pulling away the device and putting it in the corner or in the cubby or in their backpack is not a way to teach the pragmatic skills of how to use language. It's simply teaching the kids, oh, if I'm talking on my device, I'm hearing all the different words, I'm learning vocabulary. Oh, now I can't talk. We want to teach kids how to stay on a topic. And also, when we're talking and when we should actually be a listener. I find that my teachers, and I get it, it can be annoying. And there's a lot of kids in the classroom that you have to deal with. But if you take the time and really give them the verbal feedback, we're talking about photosynthesis. You're talking about the different clothing that you're wearing. You're, off topic, weenie, and you need to be a good listener. I find if you continue with that and work through it, by the end of the year, you see so much progress with these kids who, are at the exploratory phase. But some helpful tools to get kids to maintain on topic is my topic circle. And I love my topic circle. And one of my teachers even has it blown up in her classroom to keep referring to. So how the topic circle works. You see the green, the yellow, and the red. We pick a topic and then, we want to try to stay in the green. If students start slightly, are kind of talking about the topic, but not directly, we're going to give them some feedback. Oh, I see you're talking, but it's not really what we're talking directly about, but it's close. So let's try to get back on topic. Let's try to find things on our device that, so we can get back in the green. Or then you hear something completely random and you give them that feedback. Oh, we're off topic. We're in the red. Let's try to find a way to get back in the green. Other things that I find that help with maintaining a topic are the little add-ons that I included. Help. And I'm done talking about this. Let's talk about. A lot of my students sometimes are not maintaining a topic because they don't know what to say about that topic. So we want to teach them. You can identify that. You can say, help. And then I'm going to help and I'm going to model language so we can try to get back in the green. Some kids really don't like the topic that we're talking about. Again, part of a conversation is saying, I am all done. I want to talk about something different. So I use this a lot. I did provide an example in your handout that you can print out and cut. I simply just put these on popsicle sticks and Velcro, but you can do whatever you want with, the two little speech bubbles. You can use masking tape, duct tape, thumbtack, anything you want. But I do find this is a really useful tool to kind of give a nice visual for when my kids have a hard time staying on the topic that we're trying to talk about. So moving on to how are we going to promote turn-taking skills? These are some fun games that I really like because they're quick, they're fast, and they allow for a lot of opportunities back and forth. A lot of you probably have heard of Pop the Pig or Pop Up Pirate. Those are pretty common ones. A game that I came across through this time of telepractice is Porcupine Pop Up. It's super cute. You press the little porcupine's nose after rolling the dice, how many times, and then eventually the Nerf darts just like fly all over the place. I find the kids think it's hilarious when they fly all over my room and I have to go pick them up. And then again, it's summertime. So this is the game to the left is called Hot Tub High Dive. I found it at the Five Below store. So it was only $5. And you put little bubbles in, and as you spin and press the button, the big guy goes up. And when he falls off eventually, the thing splashes and bubble goes in the face. So the kids love that game. They think it's really fun if you can find it. So, but part of when I use these games, I am not just working on my turn, your turn, why it's good. We're working on that back and forth, which is important for a conversation. We also want them knowing that when it's your turn, you can say something. Oh, when it's not my turn, I need to listen. So if we're playing hot tub high dive, it's my Mun student's turn. Oh, you're rolling the dice. What do you think is going to happen? He says, good. I react. Yeah, I think something good is going to happen too. Cool. Okay, rolls a 3. 1, 2, 3. Next person's turn. Okay, you're going to listen. What do you have to say? Oh, was that funny? If they say that word, you're going to react, but you're going to work on that conversation back and forth. And this playing games is a really nice way to work on that back and forth and provide opportunities for them to talk. Headbands, a popular game. It can be a little more complex, but what I like to do is use the little headpieces and add some visuals and use it in a different way. So I will add, symbols from whatever language system they're using, and, I'll identify speaker, listener. Sometimes I'm wearing the headpiece, sometimes their friends wearing the headpiece, and we identify who's the speaker and who's the listener. So if you're the speaker, I'm going to take a step back. Okay, go. And they try to talk. Oh, then I'm going to switch. Okay, we switched it. Now it's your turn to talk. See what, the student says. Oh, I'm going to keep you as the speaker. You need to talk. Kids find this funny and react pretty well to it. Also, some things, if I do have 2 students or 3 students working together, I sometimes don't have a headpiece on. So it's my job. I'm more of a quiet facilitator. Maybe that's just giving the prompt, oh, we switched the speaker. But I'm taking a step back, because part of a conversation is not that we just speak to the adults, we also speak to our peers. So that's a hopefully fun way you guys can promote turn taking. So moving on to asking questions. We always hear who, what, where, when, why, and how. I do, again, like to use a nice language static board to show the different types of questions that kids can ask. Then also, I do not want kids to forget there's such things as is, can, and does questions, because that is also a way that we can obtain things or ask for more information. So as I mentioned before, headbands is a great game for working on asking questions. Guess Who is also another great game. The one thing I will say about headbands is it can be a little complex. So what I like to do is sort through, some of the cards that are more familiar to my students or easier to guess. And then I usually also provide scaffolds to go along with the game. Maybe they have a language board and they're simply pressing what, and then we can kind of work on how we're going to expand on that question. Or sometimes I just have pull-offs and, oh, this is the question you're going to ask. What sound does it make? And you kind of work through that. Guess Who, as you kind of can see, I'll put it over here. I have a little board. You can find them usually on Boardmaker Share, or you can create your own, that kind of shows all the different questions you can ask, and you can work on asking questions during the game with your students. So what I also like to do after we played the games a couple times, and I think they're getting a knack at asking questions, then let's practice them in a conversation. So, we're playing headbands, and I'm all saying, okay, we clean up. Guys, that reminds me, I bought something this weekend. So now we're putting it in more of a functional context or a natural situation. One one of the speech therapists that I work with, Christine Cairo, she and I used to do a language group together. And we came up with the idea that we are going to play Guess Who, but use the actual photos of the students. They thought this was so fun and absolutely loved it. So, to the point where we had to actually take pictures of the staff and incorporate them into the game. But one kid came up, pulled out a card. Oh, we saw which friend it was. And then everyone had to ask questions to figure out what friend did they pull. So that's a really cute idea that you guys can do in groups, in therapy sessions, or even if you want in the classroom setting. So, are we lost for words when trying to respond or comment to something? This is my lovely coworker, Kristen. But don't worry, we got this. So some kids, why I talked about the kid who loves to explore language and, talk a lot, we have on the opposite end of things where some kids don't say much at all. And I find that a lot of my students just don't know that they can respond and the steps of doing it. So they benefit from really clear, concrete expectations. And I find this visual very helpful. Again, I think I found this on Boardmaker Share and created into something for my own. But, really walking through that steps and teaching them. When I answer questions, what are we going to do? Well, first, put on those listening ears. We are going to listen to the question. Next, think about how you're going to answer that question. Because we also do have the impulsive kids. But walking through the steps, you're going to say something. You're going to use your best words to answer the question after it was asked the first time. But it's okay. That you might not know the answer to the question. Years ago, I used to work with a lot of students with autism. They hated getting the wrong answer, so they didn't answer at all. I do find teach, I don't know, put it on their device, because we can't always expect kids to answer something they don't know the answer, but they should also have a way to identify that they don't know and let you know. So I teach I don't know a lot. And then, I try to give my best answer every time. So also with working on responding and commenting, I am making sure that I am modeling lots of language on that device so they know some vocabulary to answer questions. So I model. If I know at the end of my session, the kid went to the farm, I am going to pull out my book that is all about farm animals, and I'm going to model language throughout the story so that child is really seeing the language, seeing how I'm using it, seeing how I'm talking about it. And then I say, after I model all the language and I feel like they have a good understanding of how they can express some words, I'm going to provide an opportunity. I heard someone went to the farm this weekend, and I'm going to wait. And you might be waiting a while. But really try to get them to initiate a response by waiting. But so they tell me cows. Just like Jane Farrell was talking about, we're going to respond. I love cows too. They could be kind of stinky. Or maybe Johnny says, flamingo. Well, this is where I am going to break out. Oh, I love how you're talking about animals. So we're in the yellow, but maybe we can talk about farm animals that you saw. Giving them that feedback and really trying to get them to respond appropriately to the question. So some things I have in my toolkit: video models. Jane Farrell, actually, again, she helped Proloco out and created kind of a tutorial video about having conversations. But I like to use this with my kids and show little clippets to, show that other kids with augmentative devices can talk to each other and have a conversation. So fast forward a little bit. and we watch how these kids are having a conversation. And it's, again, a resource that you guys can use in telepractice and show your students that they can have a conversation. Oh, it's going to play.
So things really started to take off when we started using
some
news to tell us. Tell us something you did at home. And Andrew or Tyrone, do you think you could make a positive comment? Okay, positive. Yes. I know you too well. Maybe better if you sit down, Anna. Sit down and tell us something you did on the weekend.
Shopping centre. Bev. Shopping centre, Bev.
You saw Bev at the shopping centre. Fantastic. At the beginning of the year, their communication was to the teachers. And
so it goes on, and then you kind of see a little bit more of the kids interacting. For time's sake, I'm going to move on, but definitely take a look. That's, again, I showed the link in the handout. Other things in my toolbox, I use social scripts. So, I have a little picture. You're supposed to be listening to the question and you hear it, what's up? In your social scripts, you should have options for the kids to say different things. We don't, in a conversation, you're not really always supposed to say the same thing every single time, especially when asked what's up, which is a common question they hear a lot. So you can go to an actions page, what's up? I'm sitting. Okay, that's cool. And then either maybe the student can ask me what's up, or they could just end the conversation and say goodbye. Or I put in the kid's device, nothing much, because that is a common response that I provide. And maybe speech is boring today. What's up right now? Nothing much, Miss Laura. Let's get to the fun activities. Other things in my toolkits are, different books and apps. These are some books that really show a lot of dialogue. I absolutely love Mo Williams books, actually for all ages, because, they show the dialogue between, different characters. The, graphics are pretty simple, again, good for CVI. But then, also my students love, sometimes we break out the little Gerald and Piggy dolls, and, we work on the conversations, hi, how are you? Oh, I'm great. And I'm modeling on the devices. One of my students during telepractice, when I broke them out to do the book, well, he brought Mario and Luigi from his room. So then we worked on Gerald and Piggy having a conversation with Mario and Luigi. So you got to be flexible. Conversations, you don't know what to expect sometimes. Other good books, the Brown Bear series for, the youngins. It Came in the Mail is a super cute book about a little boy who writes letters about what he wants to come in the mail. But again, you see the speech bubbles and how you can have some dialogue. The Mr. Panda series are really funny. Also some apps that you can use if you can mirror your screen are Conversation Social Stories by Touch Autism and Let's Be Social, Social Skills Development. They're actually more apps focused on social stories, but what to do when you're having a conversation. And the last one I like is 10 Ways, a Social Skill Game. It's like a form of Jeopardy. So some kids who, are getting pretty good at having conversations and going back and forth, I find this game really fun to work on. A little added bonus, we probably should teach our kids farewells and how to end a conversation as well. So you want to make sure, do those language boards, teach them that they can say goodbye instead of just simply walking away in mid-conversation. And when we put it all together, what can we get? I like creating social stories for my students. Again, don't think, oh, wow, I need to go create a whole social story tonight because this is what, Lord Valerio told me. This is something we build on. And in our social stories, I really do, put in some of the materials that I showed you before. If I'm going to spend the time making a language board about how to say hello, I'm going to stick that into this book. So, I do walk through things in this book. I have conversations with friends and teachers and family. When I'm having a conversation, I need to remember, And here we go. We keep personal space. I have a good posture and, so forth. Oh, that's right. You got a social story. Okay, guys. So I didn't have quite the conversation yet with you. So let's keep the conversation going. Feel free to ask questions. You guys can make comments. And if you guys are all done talking about this topic, I thank you so much for listening to me. I really hope you learned something new and you can bring something in to your therapy sessions to help your students have a conversation. So thank you again.
All right. Thank you so much. This was awesome. And we had an extremely engaging audience on Slack. So I do appreciate all the conversation. People are really having fun and really enjoying all of the suggestions that you made. Let me apologize to our people overseas. I did not realize that we had people from outside of the country. So good evening and good morning to the ones in New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
All right, I guess I cannot say good afternoon then. I was completely off on that one. But we did have a couple of questions. And then maybe another comment that perhaps you want to just add a comment on that one as well.
Sure.
So the first comment was, I guess, from Piece of the Puzzle. And she was mentioning about people with visual issues and, challenges that sometimes that kind of impact their postures. So just to keep that in mind. So I don't know if you have any suggestions and comments on that as well.
Sure. She's saying people who don't have good vision, but you want to work on posture. Is that kind of the question?
Yeah, because when you're talking about posture, she was like, well, keep in mind some people with autism who lack body awareness and lack that posture as well.
Right. Sometimes I do give a little physical prompt to get them in a nice position. And again, I give them that verbal feedback. Some kids without that verbal feedback, are actually don't realize what their body is doing. So you are telling them. And hopefully the more you give them feedback, the more that they'll know what it feels like to have a good body position. So I don't tend to try to, really hold kids in those positions. I give them a little tactile prompt, get them upright, and oh, wow, you look really great. You're really standing up, sitting up nicely. You look like you're ready to have a conversation.
Awesome. The other question we have is, any ideas for social games for larger groups of people? I've played a yes or no type game where they ask you to, do you like, or to see what they have in common with peers. So do you have any idea of social games for larger groups?
I mean, the games that I picked, you can go up to like 4. As I said, the Guess Who game, when you actually involve the whole class, I think there was about 11 kids participating in that game. I'm trying to think. You can use games like Candyland, and I guess that's only 4. But let me think about some other games. And if you guys have more suggestions, definitely put them in the chat. I can't think of ones with, huge groups of people. There is Jeopardy games that we've played with kids who are a little more, have a lot more practice in having conversations.
All right. Another question is the Let's Have a Conversation book available? Do you have a link for that?
I don't have a link for that because part of your social stories is that they really should directly relate to those students. So, with my social story, you didn't really see the pictures, but I do include a lot of pictures of the students, doing some of those things in those nice positions. Or I have, the students' friends in the pictures, these are the people I can talk to, or teachers. It's really nice when you customize it to them because then it's more meaningful. But I guess I will think about if I ever can put it online for all of you guys.
That would be awesome. And then I guess one more question is suggestions for coaching peers who do not use AAC, who have conversations with the students who do, like high school aged?
Yeah. I think just bringing awareness to the fact that this is another means of communication that you guys can listen to and you can talk back with. A lot of the devices actually have an icon, like I'm thinking of Touch Chat with Word Power, has like I use a communication device to talk. So teaching my students to actually use that button and identify like this is how I'm going to talk to you, people tend to be more receptive. Also, individuals in the community, if you're doing teaching your kids some of the steps, I have a nice posture, I know how to introduce a topic, I know how to gain their attention, I see much more success with people in the community and I guess in the high school setting reacting to those students. So hopefully those are helpful suggestions.
All right. Do you have any information on accessibility with boom cards, two-step switch scanning, for an example, like two-step switch scanning?
Yeah, I have a lot of kids that use alternative access. It's stuff that I just actually create and customize myself. Boom, I would actually recommend, if you like, to Rachel Maddow and Lauren Enders really talk about some of those things that you can use in the sites. I do not know if they're Switch accessible though, so I would have to look into that. I do a lot of things on Boardmaker because I know it's Switch accessible, and I would look if you're using that. Boardmaker Share is really great, or Boardmaker Online to, people have already created some of this, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Okay, so what was the name of the bubble game?
The which game?
The bubble game?
The bubble game. Hot tub, high dive. Yeah, I really like that game. It's really funny.
Another comment here is from Janet, and sorry because the questions keep on moving, so I'm trying to go back to them, guys.
Okay.
She says, I'm on everyday speech and that 10 ways game doesn't appear to be there.
The 10 ways game. Sorry, now I'm getting confused as to which game she's talking about.
She just said the 10 ways game. Let's see if I have a reply. Oh, actually, someone replied that, Janet, and then says they can be found on the App Store for iPads.
Oh, sorry. The 10 ways. Yes. Actually, in the handout too. Sorry, it threw me off when you said game. The app. Yeah, if you go on the handout, that link should show you to at least the website, where then you can find more information on how to download that app.
Awesome. Anyway, guys, I just want to thank everybody again. Thank you, Laura. That was an amazing presentation. And you need to check this Slack because people are just so engaging. If you have questions, we also got some great tips from some of you who are just listening to the presentation. So thank you for making it so engaging, so interesting. Thank you, everybody, wherever you are. Good morning. Enjoy your day, your morning, your evening. Good night. Have a good one.
Yes, thank you guys so much and have a good day.
Thank you.